I hate every time I go to tag at HarmonyCon. Like all I get is a whole list of everybody who's here before I get to the actual convention. Then I'm gonna to everybody else.
I'm telling you, type Harmony Pony.
Oh, that's what I'm doing at this point. It's just like I just want to start typing HAR and then get it.
Actually, you probably would be better just going PonyCon.
You're
just generic PonyCon.
I guess.
Honestly, probably get there quicker.
Yeah.
Maybe, but then again, I might still follow the account for PonyCon itself if you remember PonyCon. So.
Well, that's one.
That's one.
Selfie time?
You only want to wait for Doc or...
Oh yeah, Doc's gonna be more lived out.
I'm right here.
Sorry about that.
My guess is, so the last panel he was not decked out in Glimmer apparel.
Oh, so he might have.
My guess is he is taking the pants off.
Okay.
By the way, you mean the Starlight Glimmer pants stay on?
Yeah.
By the way, for everyone that wasn't at the best character competition earlier, Glimmer lost to
By-
Applejack.
Glimmer lost to Starlight Glimmer lost to Applejack by one.
Here's the thing.
One vote.
Here's the thing. I ran a panel. It happened right here. In 2019 at the first HarmonyCon. Like that's like the framework here. At the first HarmonyCon, Autumn Blaze won in 2019.
She's not even a pony.
And it's best character tournament. And then in 2020, Autumn Blaze lost in the finals to Starlight Glimmer. And then today, Starlight Glimmer lost in the finals to Applejack. So like, HarmonyCon has this tradition of like, whoever wins gets second place the next year.
Who's gonna dethrone Applejack next? Oh, no one.
The early favorite for next year is SoCal Hitch.
I'm starting to realize...
SoCal Hitch, specifically.
Squidward Chin Hitch.
Oh, yes, okay.
Can
Can I just say how much I'm loving the memes that have popped up in the last 48 hours? Like, it gives me life. All right.
Oh, God.
The crimson chin.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, I see one with the.
Yo, Joe Swanson?
Hey, Peter.
Yes.
Son. Peter, we gotta go to Bridalwood.
Hey, son, you can't keep crashing the technology conferences, son. Sprout's mom's getting mad.
All right. We have one more that will be joining us. I'm sure he's going to come in like a wrecking ball in a few moments, but we're going to get started. Welcome to Glimmer Gang versus the World. So, this panel got started because, well, I have friends. Who'd imagine it? In the world of Pony, I made friends. So I have friends, and these friends like Starlight, but they don't just like Starlight. I mean, I'm looking over here. I'm looking at the dress code for this panel and I noticed a few things. So it's not just that Starlight is loved. Starlight's loved in a very unique way, I've noticed. And I said to myself, there's something we got to talk about here because let's face it, y'all. You know, I have my favorite ponies. I do. I've never taken my pants off on stage to show my love for those ponies, but Starlight fans have done that. So, today, we grill the Glimmer Gang, and they have to defend themselves for you on what it is about Starlight that makes her so unique. What it is about Starlight that makes these folks love her so much, that makes her such a unique character and a pony in their eyes. What is it about this character? So, that being said here, I am Forward Progress here. I'm going to be one of your moderators for the panel today, and I am joined by my cohort in Keeping Friendship Magic. Oh, here.
Hi, I'm Nubaruz. I'm Forward's partner in crime for this panel to go the heck out of the Glimmer Gang over here.
So, just if we can get just a brief introduction on our panelists right here. We'll start right in front of us here.
Well, I'm Minty Root, and I'm currently working on a project about Starlight Glimmer. It's fully animated. It should come eventually.
Yeah.
My name is Scott Canswell, and I like movies.
I love movies, dude.
My name is Luckrock. I wrote a song about Starlight way back in 2016 called Starlight's Anthem. You can check that out or not, whatever. And I am currently recovering Bloom Gang.
Hi there, I'm Taylor B. McCardle, also known as Cerebral McCardle on social media on Twitter. Yeah, my passion for Starlight Glimmer is a little over the top, but I don't give a darn in the world. Yes, some people consider me now the president of the Glimmer Gang, which I kind of going to debunk here because there's 3 others up here that are about the same or on equality on the same forum.
I see what you did there.
And I did that without Thoth being here, so.
I love how you're like, there's 3 other people up here with me, and I'm like, did you just count Luckrock as himself and Thoth?
Why not? They're basically the same person, aren't they? But anyway, thank you all so much for coming, and hope you enjoyed this panel.
So, since you have the mic, my friend, we're going to start with you, Taylor.
Oh boy.
So, you are all now on trial, and this audience is your jury. Dun, dun, dun. So, Taylor,
Who ran the boy delay here?
Taylor, tell us here, what is it about Starlight Glimmer? Why Starlight?
Alright, so where am I going to begin with this? Once upon a time in 2016, I stumbled upon this fandom when I was at a very, very low point in my life. So I got to watching the show, and throughout it, I was very interested from the very get-go. Then I got to the season that debuted Starlight Glimmer, and that would be season 5. I admittedly in the beginning was a little, I'm not sure about this character because she was considered herself as a villain in the beginning, but then as the show progressed, everything that Starlight had gone through in her life, I have personally gone through in my personal life. You know, I struggled so hard to, speaking of which, you're tardy, Claw.
I was at another panel. Look, wait. I got my big boy pants on.
There you go.
Let's go. Good.
So anyway, everything that Starlight had gone through in her early stages of trying to make friends is something I similarly went through in my personal career. I struggled so hard to make friends in high school because I was different compared to everybody else. And instead of like trying to force people to be my friend, I unfortunately went into dark waters and almost literally forced people to be my friend because I wasn't sure how to make friends in the beginning because I wasn't really taught that in basic public school. So everything I don't only just love this character because of who she is, but it's been some pony that, you know, I've related to so much in my personal life, and she may be best pony, but you know, she's just lovable, and everything about her is something a lot of people could relate to in their personal life, because assuming you all have a best pony in your category and you could relate to that same pony. So the reason also is because, you know, she's considered herself as like one of the most powerful unicorns in Equestria besides Twilight. You know, she kind of has almost like this alicorn-ish powers in some way, because you don't get rid of like one of the baddest villains, Discord, and completely like send him into the Shadow Realm and banish him to it with that kind of power. So she's the only one that could tackle out a villain like that.
MLPGO or what? Like, how do you...
Smiley boy.
But, okay, we want to go in that direction, but
Man, big graduates, get on it.
We don't talk enough. We don't talk enough about we don't talk enough about how Starlight Glimmer canonically murdered Discord. We need to have a conversation about that.
Yeah, we're also talking that children have, a show for kids at the time, for a point that we just literally murdered a character on screen, for kids.
It's his ghost.
I mean,
It's
Discord's better.
his ghost, but the implication is that he's dead. Starlight Glimmer killed him. Anyway, that's just magic.
Wait. So in other words, it's appropriate to put you on trial because you're a literal gang by definition that is all centered around one character who has canonically committed murder.
Because we like murder.
So
Allegedly, this has not been convicted in the courts. This is still up to the people.
all right, well tell me more, Mr. Manson.
We are just a gang right now.
Hey, listen here. Listen here. This is straight out of Equestria, all right?
Wow.
But no. It's just,
Her name's Starlight? Like what?
Well, listen. Listen.
Okay, Nobby.
See, damn it, I lost my train of thought right there. But
We were talking about murder.
See,
So this is why Starlight's allowed murder.
Yes.
Did you get better through school?
throughout it, pretty much. And then when I came into this fandom, I learned how to make friends the more appropriate way. So without it, I wouldn't have got to met you guys at all. And I'm so happy to have you guys as my friends. And not only just because of Best Pony, but I consider you guys my best friends in this fandom. So yeah, so that's my version of why I love Starlight Glimmer. And yeah, go Glimmer game, straight out of Glimmer.
No, this, right?
Oh yeah, it's back. Oh my god.
So we got one person whose argument is I made best friends through murderer. What do you think, Rose?
How do I unpack murder?
Well, typically you want to pack it up and then bury it somewhere the police won't find it.
Can't make friends? Murder somebody.
Does this hotel have rugs that we can roll up? No.
Well,
People are recording, I just realized it.
They have all of us on tape talking about murder. You saw
I
that?
thought cameras weren't allowed
well,
to
there's
record.
worse things than murder.
Wait, Nancy, are we going
Let's
on the
unpack
couch?
that.
Well, there's one thing worse than murder: being wrong online.
Having cold takes.
Oh, Nancy, are you choosing violence this morning?
Remember when this was a panel about Starlight Glimmer?
Of course it's choosing violence.
All right. Well, you know what? No, that's a perfect segue because other than I asked them all to give me images, so whatever they gave me got put in there.
Did you at least put them in the order?
I put them in the order you said.
Good.
Two scoops.
I sent him a lot of Glimmer photos.
I literally only put about like maybe an eighth of the
Yeah,
photos.
I
want you to know this.
Yeah, I have a backlog folder of since when she started on the show. So that's about 5 or 6 years backlog, maybe more. It's a lot.
So it's your folder for the sad days.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, you know what? Okay, we've got Taylor's argument, and you know what? And he went and tried to pull at my heartstrings. I guess I'll allow that. So, Minty, let's talk about Starlight, shall we? Where do you want to start?
Start with the first frame. Okay, so you remember how all the ponies, the main 6, are basically just adaptations of the ones that we had in previous generations. For example, you got Twilight, that is based on Twilight. You got Rainbow Dash, which is a mix between Firefly and Rainbow Dash. You got Posey with Fluttershy, you got Applejack with Applejack, you got Piggy with Surprise, you got Rarity with I don't remember that one as well. But here's
She's not Starlight, it's okay,
But-
right?
all those ponies are based on something from the past. And next slide. So you got Twilight. Next one. So that's pretty interesting with all those characters. And the funny thing is that a lot of people talk about G1 as being partly, mostly based on those characters. And go next slide. Where do you see them in this poster?
Whoa.
Oh.
They're gone. They only had them for the pilot, and that was it. Can you imagine if you started with a show with the main six? And then, right after the pilot, you just ended up with a gang of really weirdos. Yeah, it's at least they never made the mistake again. So next slide. So remember Minty in the G3? Yeah,
I
it
think we've got Minty fans. Shout out for Minty.
We got one row. Okay.
yeah. At least they didn't make the mistake of just getting rid of her for the spin-off.
Oh, that's classic.
That's also,
I like this one.
I'm gonna say it right now, the fact that Pony Life like Starlight Glimmer is a crime, and it should never, ever be.
I'm standing up for that.
So, the fact that you have a character, that you have all those characters that are just repaints of stuff that already exists in a different style, and then you have Starlight Glimmer, who's based on nothing. I think you can.
She's a
next slide.
discount Twilight.
You got Starlight.
Whoa. Those are
Bailiff! Bailiff!
Starlight killed a man.
Twilight killed somebody too, I'm pretty
No,
sure.
no, here's the thing.
She's a princess, she gets to.
Wait, did you just call Starlight a princess?
No, Twilight's a princess.
Oh, okay.
Give her time.
Why is it?
Go!
Generation 5, she's coming back, she's a princess.
So they basically ended up making up something that they just felt fit with the world that had no history with the franchise that people loved, which is quite incredible because a lot of people think that you need to tug on nostalgia to try to make something that is good, and I don't think that's the case. The fact that we have Starlight, we have Trixie, which is also based on nothing in particular. We have Luda, Celestia, but mostly Trixie and Starlight because I will say it right now, I consider them girlfriends, and nothing will ever make me think otherwise. And it's also pretty interesting because she also lives in the antithesis of the whole point of the show before getting reformed. The whole idea that she had with the fact that she thought that a character would stand out something, the fact that thing that made her stand out had to be eliminated, basically just bringing everybody down and realizing through main six that it was the other way around, just bringing everybody up by being yourself. The fact that you have Starlight as a character who doesn't fit that well and end up just helping the main six that well in her journey is so inspiring. It's quite inspiring in the fandom too, because you think that you need to find your place, but it's also that you need to help other people in the fandom by your own contribution. It's also just the fact that she's a reformed villain who has to learn a bit better about friendship, kind of like the main six was, and just passing from one generation to the other. Kind of like we had the elder bronies teaching the younger generation skills in the fandom. It's quite inspiring. And also, she was really cute. Especially, like, she looked cute with her older style where she was a bad guy with the bangs. And I did realize it when I saw season 6 because I did a parody video about Starlight's reformation where Spike was just asking if she was related. And I just went with the older main style because it's pretty interesting. So, and purple actually looks really good with green. It's quite impressive. So, I think that should be my point. What's your counterpoint?
Alright, so,
Counterpoint.
we got, okay, so, let's see here. We've got originality. We've got color theory. Essentially.
Color theory.
What are you thinking? I'm throwing a lot on you. They are throwing a lot on you.
I like the part where Minty said that she's cute.
There we go.
concur.
Best point right there. She's really cute.
So okay. So it's acceptable as long as they're cute.
Yep, murder is
Acceptable.
acceptable if they're cute.
I didn't say the M word. Y'all did it.
That's on camera. Again.
Alleged.
Allegedly.
Legend murder is fine as long.
He was fine in the end.
You know, this panel wasn't about putting Starlight on trial for murder, but it turned into it. All right.
Next panel. Sequel.
Come on, don't
Her
make
crimes
me
are far worse than mine.
All right. Just wait till we get the audience portion of this panel.
Oh.
All right. So, not bad. I'm hearing what you're saying. I will give it up for originality because that season when Starlight came in, I will say there was a guy, you might have heard of him. He's known for doing things with Sharpies. He wrote the season 5 premiere.
Yep.
And I will say, if nobody else touches upon it, do you know which song for the series sticks with me almost more than any other song?
Our town.
In Our Town.
Township song.
When I first heard that, I remember turning and looking at my friend and like, are they really saying this right now?
You can't have a nightmare if you never dream.
Yes!
Yeah.
I'm just like, ooh!
Also, at one point in the series, when she says a certain manifesto.
All right, so we've got manifestos now. We've got indoctrination, murder.
A lot of M's. A lot of M words
It's-
here.
it's
I'm
quite
liking it.
original in
This
the
is good.
franchise.
Oh, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. We really didn't have brainwashing previously. I mean, kind of,
Crystal
but
Empire.
that's true.
Keep it up, or we're
Well,
getting there.
we had the purple and green one, who got murdered.
Spike.
He did murder some, bro.
You're not wrong. Okay, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. He murdered Sombra in as much of a way as murder in Discord happened, so there is a point to be made there. All right.
Spike is my favorite Starlight Glimmer.
Purple and green.
If only spikes were real. Anyway.
I wanted to point that out too, because Mincy made the point of, Starlight being original. There were all these characters from like that pilot that sort of got recolored, but they didn't even make it to the first movie. You know who was in the first movie poster? Spike. Meaning that Spike stood out more than any of the characters in the pilot that became the main 6.
Back to that. That's it. Spike versus the.
Who's that on the left, huh?
Whoa.
It's not Starlight. It's not Pinky Black. Spike.
Okay. But can we all agree that the highlight character of the G1 film is the Smooths?
Dude, the smooth song slaps.
It still bangs today.
This has nothing to do with Glimmer at this point, but nothing can stop the
Nothing
smooth
can stop the
slaps.
Smooths. Nothing can stop the Smooths. Is it a purple thing? Is this
It
what we're
might
saying?
be-
Is it a purple thing?
To me, it's
It is a purple thing.
to me, it's the bass line.
Purple's the baseline?
Bow, 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 bow.
No. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. No, I'm noticing this. There's a purple and green thing going on. Are we just attracted to purple and green characters?
I guess.
Yep, that's our next panel.
It's a good. I guess it's a really good thing that my OC is a green unicorn with a purple mane, then, isn't it?
Starlight if they were purple.
What if Starlight but purple? What?
What if it was purple?
All right. We'll be
Rarity,
coming,
what if she was purple?
we'll be
Starlight.
coming, we're gonna be coming back around here to you, but we gotta give everybody a few minutes to chat here. So let's talk with this gentleman with the flag in his hat. Mr. Luckrock.
Legitimately.
I'm gonna poke it.
Actually, it's working.
Okay. Oh, he's standing.
Yeah.
Oh, he's standing.
There we go.
And they-
All right, drop the beat, y'all.
So, Okay, so there's a point. When we got to the end of season 7, I was pretty sure Starlight had become the best character in the show. Throughout the years of watching it, I went through different variations of favorite characters, and by the time we got to the end of season 7, I was like, I think Starlight has suddenly become the best thing ever. And then in the season 7 finale, she confirmed it. But before I get into that, I wanna impart sort of a real life lesson on everyone, if I may. And I promise it has something to do with what we're going for here. But one of the I think best lessons I've ever learned in life, as a very good example of empathy, is that when you are dealing with someone who is experiencing any kind of emotion, right, whether it be like distress, euphoria, anger, whatever you want, it can be for the dumbest reason that someone's like really upset, right, or sad, and a lot of people I think default to thinking like, oh, it's dumb, they shouldn't be sad. But the truth of the matter is, anytime anyone experiences any sort of emotion, regardless of for what purpose or how they got there, in that moment they're feeling those things, and that's undeniable, right? So regardless of how they got there, I think it's very important to sort of see that and understand in other people that whatever they're feeling, that's what they're feeling in that moment, and that's what matters. And that's really, I think, where true empathy comes from. And so we all know Starlight's past. But when we get to the second part of the season 7 finale, she's really struggling. She's not even allowed to like talk to people, basically, because all the important Star Swirl and Twilight and Sunburst are doing all the important work. Starlight's the one who really figured out something was up. And that was because she had empathy for Stygian. So, and partially because she's just the best, that she bursts in, she's like, I'm going to say what I have to say, and you're going to listen to me. Star Swirl points out that the only thing Stygian cared about was he had envy, and he just had this desire to go down a path, quote, from which there is no return. To which Starlight responds without hesitation, I know from experience that's not always true. When the map called you 6 to my village, it was for a friendship problem. Are you sure this is different? And then Starswell is just like, get out of here, I don't know you. To which Starlight Glimmer drops what I think might have been, or at least in my opinion, was like the heaviest, most like sincere and powerful line from the entire show. When Twilight just kind of waffles on her, she's like, oh, go away, we gotta do the thing. And Starlight just looks at her and goes, I guess I'm lucky your idol wasn't around when you decided to be my friend. I might have been banished to Limbo too. And then in the transcript it says door closes. So there's literally a door slam right there. I don't know about you guys, but that was heavy. Like when I saw that, like I was physically moved. Where I was like, oh wow, yep, she's the best.
Yeah.
And I think we got to credit the show with really diving like that deep into an emotional layer where we can really see. At that point, I really think Starlight's arc had completed. I think it's fair to say. She had shown like where she had come from, and she had. I mean, at that point, she was basically the main character of the show, but she really fully demonstrated like what the lesson of friendship is magic is about. And it was through that lesson that not only was she able to save the elements of harmony for a season, but really she saved the world that day through that empathy. And I think that's really powerful. For my second point that I want to point out, I want to talk about Firelight, Starlight's father. That when they go to the Nightlight is Twilight's dad.
Oh, sorry, yeah, right.
I'll fight you.
He will.
Later
Well.
on.
Glimmer better.
Kill the
Names.
I did have to look up Firelight, though I couldn't remember his name. I feel bad about that. We don't know a whole lot about Twilight's past outside of like the whole Sunburst thing and the
Oh,
flashback.
your thing. Sorry.
Starlight.
Yeah, well, you know.
I'm sorry.
What? He confused me.
Twilight is far better.
We don't know about Twilight's past. She has like brother issues with her. we know a lot about Starlight's past outside of the Sunburst stuff. And then we get the episode where they go to the village. And we find out maybe the most awesome thing about Starlight from the way that she and Sunburst interact with her parents. So we know with Firelight, he's like kind of supportive, but he doesn't really listen to her. He's sort of upbeat, but like you get the idea that he's never really listened to Starlight or really given her any kind of autonomy. And you can see that come out in the way that she and Sunburst react to both of their parents and the way they're working with. And I think a lot of people overlooked this when that episode happened. But a very key takeaway here, and this is so awesome, guys. Starlight Glimmer has daddy issues.
I mean, did you see her bedroom?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
And you point that out as a positive?
my point for this was just daddy issues.
The golf issues are another day.
She's got daddy issues.
I guess my third and final point too is to dig back onto when we first meet her in her town.
It's our town.
Our town.
My town now.
Oh.
Well,
He's gonna plant that flag and start the town.
Do it.
Claims this land in the name of Starlight.
Okay, wait down. Okay.
We're live.
the flag has fallen.
So she runs her way after the finale. First off, Starlight is the first villain from this show I genuinely feared. We saw from her first episode, she has a lot of power and influence over people in ways that other villains hadn't. Up until that point, every villain had basically been like, I am this very powerful magic entity. You have to find a cheap way to stop me. That wasn't Starlight initially. She was someone who you had to stop her by either convincing everyone around her she was wrong or ultimately convincing her she was wrong. When she shows up in the background throughout season 5, I spent a year just so tense thinking about how Starlight's just out there manipulating ponies and watching from the bushes or from the restaurant in the background. And then when she comes back, no one really stopped her from ending the world. She had the paper in her magic, can't say hands, it was so close, she was ready to end it all. And the only thing that actually stopped her was ultimately convincing her, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea. You don't beat Starlight with power. You do it, in the mind. And then to go from literally being the one character who actually could end the world to being the one who saves it, you don't get better than that. Thank you. That was my TED Talk.
I would like to remind people, this is a show for kids. It goes deep.
For kids.
Kids. A family kid.
A family show.
Family. So, actually, I have this slide here, and I wanted to touch back on it. I know Minty said, so let me get for the other three. Starlight and Trixie, what's their relationship?
Girlfriends.
Oh, they're totally
Our
together.
friendship was just girlfriend energy.
Best friends.
That's exactly what they said about Lyra and Bon Bon.
You can marry your best friend.
Yeah.
Which is why the thought.
Damn it, that's a good one.
Oh! Can you do my taxes for me?
So wait, wouldn't you just be marrying yourself?
Whoa.
Whoa.
Can you do that? Is that a thing you could do?
Is that I can't figure out if this is your ego just expanding.
Right.
I think that's legal in Tennessee.
I'm just
Shout out to our Tennessee audience.
I'm just man, I look good.
It's like looking into a mirror.
What the hell am I going to
I
do
don't
with these?
know.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. What do we do with what he just said? What do we do with this?
What part of it?
Yes.
Yes.
The part where we said we'd marry each other. We'll do it
Think
for
about
you.
it.
You look afraid to take the mic.
I mean, it's
I'll be
legal.
your maid of honor.
Guys, I'm losing it.
Hey, we got a question. We got a question.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna preface this. It's gonna be a little bit not kind of right. I'm literally an attorney in real life, and what I want to say here is this is a very strange trial because I'm only hearing the defense. There is no prosecution.
I'm not gonna say we murdered the prosecution.
Okay, so this is not. I'm not anti-Starlight. I literally don't know anything about her, which is why I came here. Because I might use her as a character in a story I'm writing, so I came here to learn. I stopped watching the show not because of Starlight. In season 5, the one where she's hiding in the bush. So I don't know anything about redeeming Starlight. And therefore, when I got to think about her, she has a very expressive face. And I know that she became very popular, which is why I'm here. Again, I don't know why, that's what I'm here to learn. But I want two things. One is the prosecution, and second, a question for later, if you will, for anyone else to answer for me. The first is, I know I got kind of food and brought it down, but the general negative information that somebody like me who has no knowledge of her is that it basically goes like this. So this is the prosecution anti-argument. The show screwed up by making Twilight and Alicorn too early. So they needed a new Twilight Sparkle. And that became Starlight. Like I think it was you who said it. By the season 7, she's the main character because she's playing the role that had to be Twilight before they turned her into an Alicorn. So that's why a lot of people think she's like an Alicorn recolor. And I wonder if you can defend that charge. And secondly, if any of you have any tips for somebody who's very rare to her on like how to like write her as a personality, that would be really useful to me as well. Thank you. Gotcha. Not a problem. That actually kind of relates to what I was going to go. Are you done, Luck?
I have some things to say.
He's going to fight you.
I don't know if you guys can remember back to the magical year of 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. Because it's fun to think about like how we felt about the show at different times. But like I remember a lot, like the sentiment in 2016 and a little bit in 2017 was very much like, oh, it's about Starlight now. Like you could pretty much ask anyone at the con, or like the general idea, like the joke was, oh well, Starlight's the main character now. But it did sort of feel like that. It did like we didn't get a lot of Twilight in the growth episodes at that point. It was more about she sort of had her arc for the most part. Now we're gonna teach someone else to be Twilight. What was your second point? How to write her?
Yeah, how to write her as a character.
She does not think about anything twice. She just does it.
Okay. That's very cool.
Well, as much as I wanted to touch on the Royal Problem episode, that was why she was called, was because, like, she won't hesitate to just mess with power in an instant.
And she also has a lot of power, so it's basically, it's basically having your finger on the trigger all the time. Yeah.
That was the thing,
the
too.
other argument people say that she's overpowered, that she's even stronger than the
When she did fight Alicorn Twilight, it was a stalemate.
Yeah.
And
We remember it back for the season 5 finale. The idea that Twilight was really convinced that they needed Starlight. They wanted to reform her to bring her to her gang because.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, remember that fight? That's a good thing to have on your side.
If I may interject on the first point of yours, I think it's actually part of Twilight's journey because essentially she goes from being a student to suddenly now she's the teacher. So I think that was kind of an interesting thing seeing in Twilight of like basically trying to become her own mentor. Like she's now Celestia to Starlight Glimmer, so it's kind of interesting seeing that transition in Twilight's journey.
Here's maybe the most quintessential Starlight example that exists. Without context, she becomes a guidance counselor. Don't worry about how we get there. There's a character who goes to see her when she's upset. She's like, I sabotaged this thing because I wanted to help. I sabotaged my friends because I wanted to help them. And any good guidance counselor would be like, okay, no, let's dig into that. Why'd you do that? Starlight literally goes, oh, that's awesome.
I see.
I knew where you were heading with that one.
And I guess that's kind of part of my point here is you guys are mentioning about having so much power, not being afraid to use it, but also sometimes just using it on a dime, and what can happen. And that's the thing about the admiration for somebody who is, at any moment, could literally end the world.
Right.
Is it fair to say that like Starlight doesn't like she just doesn't really care about like any kind of societal norms? Like where most people know when to like stop talking or how to comfort someone or something. Starlight is unabashedly herself. And like more than any man, maybe not more than Pinkie Pie, but more than just about anything else, like that shines and that's what's so beautiful
Like
about it.
the gift from season 8 when Twilight is holding up a rule book and Twilight.
Right, yeah.
Classic.
Can I just say
Rules don't matter.
the only time I have ever jumped out of my chair and like just shouted at the TV was in that very moment when Twilight was freaking out and thought everything was done. She's like, "What's the rules?" And Twilight just bah. Starlight just bah. I literally went, "Yes!" She the best.
It's true.
Not to monopolize, but just one final point. Is there any particular episode, or even better, a fan fiction that you all agree has a very good characterization of her that I could go and like study?
We could maybe
My-
put a list together.
My gut is to say a royal problem, to be honest with you.
Oh,
yeah,
royal
it's
problem.
really
Royal problem.
I'd also jot down maybe every little thing she does. That one is a good post performing episode.
I was gonna bring that up, but it was just gonna be later. But
Right.
since we brought up the topic, let's do it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, that episode makes me freaking uncomfortable.
Of course, it should, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like, I guess this goes into my portion, I don't know yet, but that is the thing. A lot of people like to characterize, there is the characterization about Starlight where at the beginning when she was introduced, everyone liked to use the term Mary Sue. I don't think they knew what that term meant when it was used. I think that was just a shorthand for bad character in their minds. But a Mary Sue is a character, if I have my definition correct, someone can correct me. I've been on the internet for a while. But a Mary Sue is a character that everyone loves, respects, admires, without question, no matter what mistake they
They
do.
succeed at everything.
Right, they succeed at everything and they're perfect. Every little thing she does, I'm going to use G-rated language here, she messes up hard. She brainwashes all of her friends. It's that impulsivity, like you were talking about, the finger on the trigger kind of thing, where she has her finger on the trigger all the time. And when she thinks about how am I going to do all these things that I'm really uncomfortable with, she just brainwashes all of her friends. And after that's done and finished, with a Mary Sue, it would be like, it's okay, it's fine, it's whatever. But in
You are itching.
right, yeah. But in this show, Starlight goes to Twilight's friends, who she's not that close with really in the long run, and Rainbow Dash and all of them, they never forgive her. They never say, "We accept your apology" in that episode, as far as I know, in those words. Rainbow Dash puts it really well, where they're all like, "No, what you did was really messed up, and it's gonna take some time for us to forgive you for that."
Don't cast spells on your friends.
Right. And to me, that's indicative that completely cuts down any Mary Sue argument in my mind. Because as we see throughout the show, she's a really flawed character. She switches the cutie marks of Celestia and Luna. Yeah, she helps fix it, but she's still messed up. And they're upset with her. I don't think she ever gets a free pass in the show on the weird nuts things she
gets
does.
chewed out by Twilight.
Yeah, she gets chewed out a couple times in the show. You're itching over here. What do you
Give the boy the mic.
Well, this is another thing. I don't know if this is so much about like. You can argue one way that this is like why Starlight's just so perfect, awesome, or you could attribute it as just a really good show writing. But at the end of that episode, and I saw someone point this out on Tumblr back when that existed, and I didn't know. but I didn't. I had no idea that this was like a thing or that it was portrayed like perfectly. But at the end of that episode, apparently, so there's actually like a process to have a proper apology. There are certain things that are needed in order for a proper apology. And Starlight's, like, the way she does it actually fits the mold of a perfect apology. Like, it is a picture perfect example of how to make amends with her friends. And so when she like goes to talk to them, she's like, I messed up. I know like you're hurting right now, and that's on me. And I acknowledge that. Number one, acknowledgement that you did something wrong. She even was like, I'm probably never going to be as good of friends with you guys as you all are with each other. And I recognize that. And then actually like say you're sorry, to which she does.
Right.
And then she asks like, how can I make this up?
Right.
Like some kind of offer of like fixing the situation. It's actually like, and it happens so fast. It's like a 40-second conversation, but it's dead on how you're supposed to apologize.
Yeah, sorry, keep on up, but building on that, and on what you said at the very beginning of the show, with the golden, sorry, again. It seems like a lot of the appeal for Starlight in comparison to other characters is that she provides a role model for for people who seem to find themselves in life getting into situations very quickly and stickly, and then she provides a model on how to get out of those situations. That seems to be a lot of the emotional appeal of the character.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, as we talked about, she's really impulsive, and she oftentimes has to owe up to those mistakes in the show. And in that sense, like you mentioned, people saying, "Oh, she's the new Twilight." Well, after 5 seasons of the show with the 6 main characters that we knew almost everything about at that point, more or less, we needed a new emotional entry point to continue on with that and essentially, I don't want to say spice it up, but to give a new dimension to it. So what better way to do it than have a character come in who is, you have Pinky doing her Pinky thing, and instead of the other characters bouncing off of it, because, we've seen that before, 5 seasons of it, Starlight is like horrified and really awkward and doesn't know how to deal with this. So we see that dimension. It's a screenwriting convention where you have someone, you have someone that's an entry point for the audience. And in a way, Starlight is kind of our entry point at that point in the show, at least to me, where you have a character bluntly telling characters, the rule book. She hits it away. That's what the audience is saying to Twilight in a way. It's stop focusing on the rules. Stop doing that. Stop. What else do we have? Luna, Celestia, switch cutie marks. Maybe I wouldn't do something that impulsive and crazy, but it's what you'd think of impulsively. So to me, that's a big appeal of her character is that I know Applejack's thing is that she's blunt sometimes. Starlight is extremely blunt at many points in the show.
The only difference is that they listen to Starlight when she says it.
Oh!
That is verifiably true.
Yeah.
Thought we got a little out of order, but it's great because I was going to have the question interrogation part. So thank you. We bumped it early, but it's good.
I like it.
But I want to give you your time here before we're out of time because we only have like 12 minutes left.
Okay.
So Thoth, anything you have prepared you want to talk about? I know you think that Starlight's neat.
Yes, I do. I just think she's neat. So kind of piggyback. I said a lot of what I had to say before, but what I'll also say is the big appeal to me once I really so real quick introduction here. I wrote a college essay about the episodes that Starlight was introduced in because we were required to.
Oh.
We had to write an essay in. I went to film school. Yeah, that got me far. I'm here, woo. But no, I love you all. But we had to write an essay about cultural Marxism in a piece of media. And it was right after the season 5 had concluded. So I said to myself, well, I guess there's no better thing than this to talk about. Yeah. So I wrote about the season 5 premiere, and it really struck to me. Are you okay there?
I'm just imagining.
Yeah, no worries. I wrote 18 pages on this. Yeah, it was a fun time. I got a B on it. I don't know what I did wrong, but I got a B on it.
Oh, it's not too bad.
No, it's not.
Especially with the
Yeah.
The teacher probably got very confused.
Yeah, right.
I'm convinced that professor was just biased or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, right.
It probably made them watch the episode.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Accurate.
Hey, Larson, Mitch Larson himself asked for a copy. He has a copy of that essay. Yeah, it was an honor. I really hope he didn't read it, but
Well, it was an honor to give it to him.
Yeah.
However,
right. He said expletives when I showed it to him. He went, "Holy man, can I have it? Can I have this?" I had an extra copy. But anyway, in that essay, it kind of struck me halfway through, in sort of a relation to what Minty was talking about, where Starlight's point and her village's point is very much the antithesis of the entire franchise before it, where she's against this idea of uniqueness of the individual, and then even further so, as we talked about with her role in season 6 and beyond, she's very much blunt. She doesn't do a lot of the goof. She's not as much goofy, I guess, other than the faces. Then you have the energy of Pinky and Rainbow Dash and everyone. She plays off of that. So in that sense, I kind of realized halfway through the 18 pages of that essay that she was very much a challenge to everything that the show and My Little Pony as a whole had established before it. And when I thought of it in that spectrum, it was like, that's really fascinating that they would have a character introduced in the show that is so not what this entire franchise is about. Maybe that's why they don't market her as much. I don't know. I will buy more Starlight things. You can tell I will. But she's very...
I believe you have a coffee mug just like that.
Yeah, I do.
And I don't mean the coffee mug in the picture. I mean that face.
Yeah, of course. It's really good. But yeah, she very much challenges everything that the franchise itself, since its inception in the 80s, established. And to me, and then also there's just the relatability. Like I said, we had grown to know the main 6 over the years. When we got to season 5, I don't want to say it was getting stale, because there were still ways to go about their characters and interact, but there needed to be something new. There needed to be a new wrench into the works of it, and that was Starlight. It was someone who was blunt and didn't quite know all of the social graces and all of the things that we'd seen the characters before interact with.
Yeah, she was nervous all the time.
Yeah. Like, one of the most striking moments that really hit me with her character was literally in the season 6 premiere, where she has what is basically a panic attack. And I was like, that's kind of brutal. And when I first watched that, I was as suspicious as anybody about introducing a new character to the main cast. Like, I was not an immediate Starlight fan. But then once that happened and we got to learn more and more about her and how fallible she is in that first season and how she ends up succeeding by the end of it, she saves Equestria with all of her friends. She's not even really close friends with the main 6. She has her own friends. She's her own character. So in that sense, it was just so interesting to have a new character to learn about and connect to and kind of project ourselves onto. So to me, she's a fascinating character, and it was kind of something we needed, where a lot of the main 6 were threatening to become, I guess, archetypes at that point, and you have this character join in. And it challenges all that. It was a challenge to My Little Pony itself, and that's Starlight's character, and that was so appealing. Also, she's really adorable, so that'll conclude my point.
I'm sorry I kept laughing, but
You're good.
your paper was on cultural Marxism in
Yes.
media. When you said that, all I could think of, and I couldn't get this out of my head, you know when they're like locked in the little warehouse room,
Yeah.
and like the speaker is like saying all the propaganda?
Yeah.
All I was just imagining was just like Starlight's voice being like, to excel is to fail. Sticking out is not sticking in. We will seize means of production.
It's great. When I actually called that essay, I called it cutie Marxism. I gotta be on it. I must have done something right.
Probably why
Yeah, right. It was the title. The title sent it.
Oh,
I would have given you an A
while
just
we're
for
at
that.
it, can I just bring out how incredible our chemistry is with Trixie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will okay. So since we're getting low on time, I'm gonna skip all my my mean interrogation.
Oh, no.
And we got 5 minutes, so we gotta
He has to be nice to us.
Rapid fire.
And that's okay. I'm on the roast tonight. I get to be mean to some of these people
No
tonight.
way.
So, but bringing Trixie back the way they did in No Second Francis was almost perfect. I will say that because as a character, after her appearance in season 3, she was just gone. And I have a good friend of ours who was a big Trixie lover from the first appearance in season 1. And he always felt like he got crap from people because it's like, who loves Trixie? Who says Trixie is best pony? And then they bring her in and they pair her with Starlight, two flawed characters who are trying to figure out their way in the world. And it's the thing about, like, I don't think Trixie could have been brought back in any other way and been done justice.
Yeah.
To turn Trixie into what it was, and this is like I'm turning into a Trixie appreciation moment.
I was gonna say,
But Trixie
Cisco, is
works
that
as
you?
a balance point with Starlight, and there is some beauty in that. Regardless of if they're best friends or if they're girlfriends or whatever, there is something within that. Is definitely something here. And also she loves
I
kites.
love that.
Yeah.
He just thinks they're neat.
He's so cute.
Now, that's the only, like, what's funny about this is when we play in this panel. So, when we play in this panel, I said to all of them, I'm like, I want to get a mix of stuff. So you guys can do serious, and you can also get memey and talk about all of the great Starlight memes and the funny moments. Y'all haven't memed yet.
No.
Which is like, that's true. Like, but there is something about that I basically said you can do that. And yet, all of you went from the heart.
Yeah.
And that means a lot to me.
Right.
Now, we already got this was supposed to be the audience interrogates them part, but I think we already did that. So,
You know.
but let's say here, we got 3 minutes here. So, what do we think, guys? What do we think? Is it okay for them to be decked out in Starlight and love this character this much?
Yeah. I'm glad the audience says that we can wear this. I'm glad you're giving us.
Oh, I was gonna we would have made you put those pants back on.
Oh. I was gonna say, what happens if they said no? What would have happened then?
To the moon, 1,000 years.
No try. It's still not best character.
Oh,
Can I make a confession?
Absolutely.
So along with like life lessons here,
Standing up
I think,
again.
well, it's important to note that like as time goes on and as like situations change and as information changes, it is important to also be adaptable and able to process that and put that all into your ethos and your life philosophy. And with that in mind, I started out saying that I've had different favorite characters throughout time. I actually do have a new favorite character.
what are you doing?
No.
No.
I can't believe you've done this.
Oh no.
Get out! Get out of here! So forward.
Just quoting the Glimmer gang.
Yeah, right. Forward. Are we gonna have to do a zip panel next time?
Yeah.
Are we gonna have to do a zip panel? Yeah. You like it.
Excuse me, I'm gonna go to the easy panel.
Oh. I'm gonna go to the pit panel.
I can't believe that.
Sunny is best pony. I hear no other word.
I'm gonna go to the Izzy panel and commit tax.
But in all seriousness, though, while Starlight's not my favorite pony, personally, I do love her. I do love what they did with her. I do think there's moments where she made me uncomfortable. I do think there is something very unique with all of y'all because I have plenty of pony merch, but I have not seen any character get this other than Starlight to this level. And you know what? Dang it. I freaking respect and love all of you. And you know what? We don't always have to agree to get along. That is the message of the show. And I believe it to heart. Just because she's not my favorite pony, she's your favorite pony, and I love you guys for your passion. Any last words from you guys?
Keep friendship magic.
Oh,
Yep, that is what I call keeping friendship magic. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for listening to us and participating. You've been a fabulous audience. I couldn't have asked for better. And thank you. Thank you to you who actually know law.
Yeah, right.
Because I don't. So I went to school for social science, not law. So
Well, I mean, first you go to school for social science and then law school, and then you regret.
I could. You're right. You're right. I could. But if you do like what we do, we got links up there. This Keeping Friendship Magic is our baby, but we always love inviting our friends on. We do lots of fun content with them. And tomorrow we actually have 2 Keeping Friendship Magic panels. And anyway, come to TrotCon.
Anyway, twerk. Yeah.
Because pretty much like 2/3 of the people on stage are on TrotCon staff. So
we run social media. We'll try to post more Starlight Glimmer in the future.
So, but also, if you are over 18 and want to see us say silly, ridiculous things other than "I love you guys," come to the roast tonight, hosted by Nevalin. I'll be on it. Toth will be on it. It's gonna be a crazy time. Minty is going to be on it. I still have to write jokes about you. But thank you guys again. Have a great rest of your HarmonyCon. Hope to see you guys throughout the weekend.
And remember, Starlight Glimmer's best pony.
Oh, Glimmer gang. Yes. Wait. Are you guys really doing this without a stance?
You want to go over here?
You're not wearing Starlight stuff.
Oh.
What if Minty's not
Do
wearing
you
stuff?
even Glim gang?
Actually, the plushie pointing at the.
Oh, get the plushie, yeah.
Starlight. Cool. Alright, now it's you talk. Oh, you did have one.
Thank you guys. You guys are the best.
Hey, if you want, talk about Starlight.